said to me last time that women shouldn't be fasting when they're on their periods.
The week before their period.
The week before their period, okay.
Yeah.
So in the lead up to their period, they should be avoiding fasting. Why is that again?
Yeah. So let's go through the hormones, because I think this is one. You asked me what has surprised me on the book coming out. I'll tell you the other thing that surprised me. How many women don't understand their hormones? But you're controlled by it, your behaviors, your sleep, your interactions with human, and we don't have a system that's teaching women hormones. This is appalling. So when we look at the 3 sex hormones, when it comes through the lens of fasting, estrogen, which comes in the front half of a woman's cycle, does really well with fasting because she likes you to be insulin sensitive. A great example of this is the growing number of cases of polycystic ovarian syndrome, where we are seeing insulin resistance leading to infertility because of an imbalance in the estrogen system, and we're seeing an increase in testosterone because of this insulin system being off. So we need, when estrogen comes in, a tool to help women to be insulin sensitive. Progesterone's her twin sister. They look the same, we call them the same, but she acts exactly opposite. She wants glucose to be higher. She doesn't do well with cortisol. Cortisol comes in, she's gone away. I always say when progesterone goes high, cortisol is shy.
And cortisol is the stress hormone.
Yeah. So in a woman's 30-day period, you have moments where estrogen is making her peak, and you have moments where progesterone is making her peak. So if she's on the keto diet, if she is in calorie restriction, if she is fasting all the time, she's not honoring the rhythms of these 2 hormones. And that is a major problem. So we say don't fast the week before your period because you need glucose to be higher and you don't want cortisol to be high. And just like exercise increases cortisol, so does fasting.
So what's going to happen if you fast the week before your period? What's the consequence?
Yeah, so what we have typically seen is women lose their cycles.
Okay.
You need progesterone. So let's put it through the lens of a woman's brain. Around day 20, like progesterone's building. She has to peak, and then when she hits a peak, the uterine lining sheds, and you have a period. Okay, if you are fasting during that time and you didn't bring your glucose up high enough, progesterone may not peak, and then you don't have that shed of blood. When you shed every single month, that menstrual blood that comes out, there are 4 major chemicals in them. There are phthalates, there are parabens, there are forever chemicals, and there are plastics. They can actually measure that in a woman's menstrual blood. So if she's not bleeding, then she's not detoxing.
Because those 4 chemicals are toxic.
They're toxic, yes.
What do you say to those people that don't have menstrual cycles, and they're, because, listen, obviously I've never been through that myself, but I have a partner who's been very open. I think she did a post last week on her Instagram describing the journey that she went on to try and get her menstrual cycle back, and she successfully has now.
Amazing.
She's 31, she's the same age as me now, and she had many years where she had an inconsistent or non-existent menstrual cycle, and I got to observe firsthand how frustrating, saddening, confusing that is, and how you feel like you're broken in some way if you're not having a menstrual cycle as a woman. So what do we offer those women?
Well, I applaud your girlfriend for doing that. I first want to say that, like, getting your cycle back, not only just for pregnancy, but for general health, it's brilliant. Like, so smart to do that. I think a lot of women think it's great they don't have a menstrual cycle. That's a little bit in the culture right now. So to those women who feel like this is a blessing they don't have a cycle, I'd ask them to rethink that. Even if they don't want to have kids, let's rethink it, because your body needs to shed every single month. So there's that. For the other women that are struggling to get their periods, the first thing and I'd be curious if your girlfriend discovered this, is that we have to realize that a woman's body is rhythmic. It has times where we can be outgoing and we can conquer the world, and there's times we're going to sit on the couch and do nothing. And there's times that we're really happy, and there's times, don't look at us that way, because our hormonal system is agitated. So we are constantly in a state of rhythm. And when you're not shedding, you're missing a major part of your rhythm that makes you a woman.
We talked about this last time, and it was the first time as a employer I started to reconsider how we run our business, because if women do need certain accommodations based on their cycle, what might be an optimal way for an employer to set up a working schedule for a woman which would be accommodating of her cycle?
So this is what I came up with, is we talked about this idea of like 3 days off every single month. What if every employee had 3 days off every single month, no questions asked, you take it when you want to take it? And then there's an educational process for the women that we recommend you take it the week before your period, because that's going to absolutely help you in supporting your hormonal health. And what we know is if you take it off the week before your period, that when you come back, you're going to be an even better version of yourself. So it's, again, not a weakness. So I would think you would take some chunk of time and you let your employee use their prerogative, because you can't tell them, when to take time, when to use it with their period. I think that's the most fair, because then the men can do it too.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, maybe we're doing that already then, because we do offer what we call unlimited holiday. I guess it's more like a responsible holiday policy where people can take as much time as they like. So someone like Jack in the team, it also applies for me, can decide to take as much holiday as he wants when he wants. And I have no idea, sat here now, how much holiday Jack has taken this year, for example, or why he's taken it and when he's taken it.
Yep.
I guess, therefore, with that in place, people can decide to do that without having to broadcast why they're off to the company.
Exactly. And to the women in the company, what they need to know is that day that like everything is crashing down on you and your stress is coming from all different angles, and you have to get up and push through on that day, and it's day 25 of your menstrual cycle. If it is appropriate on that day for you to stay home, and you work in a company like this that is no questions asked, then stay home and nurture yourself. And be aware that every moment a woman is pushing through that week before her period, she is destroying her hormonal system. Now, there are little pushes through, and there are big pushes through. So I'm talking about the big pushes through. I'm not talking about the moment you wake up and you're like, yeah, it's going to be a boring day, or there's some difficult conversations I have to have today. I'm talking about the moment when your energy's down, you have brain fog, you might be having some cramps, you might be really irritable, and you're like, I can't take one more thing. How about I have this really cool company I work for. What if I just nurture myself today and take care of myself so I can show up tomorrow a better person?
One of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about, because I had noticed it popped into my fridge after our conversation, and I know my partner listened to the conversation. As I said to you, it was translated into a bunch of languages, so her family got to listen to it in Spanish as well, was this apple cider vinegar thing. In the door of my fridge there's apple cider vinegar, and I wasn't sure what it was the other day, so I drank a bit and it's disgusting, but I thought it looked kind of like apple juice or something. And I tried it and it was really disgusting. But apple cider vinegar is currently in the door of my fridge. My partner, she's so smart, she's ahead of me on all of these things. Why is it in the door of my fridge?
Have you tried it?
I tried it. It was disgusting.
It's totally disgusting.
It was a bit too strong, but I tried it straight from the bottle and then I got yuck.
Well, so I'll give you the reason why in here in a second, but I have the same experience. I do not like apple cider vinegar, although they've come out with some really good modifications and drinks with it, which is amazing. And, we're always trying to look at how we can support people on our YouTube channel. And one of our consultants was like, oh, you need to do a video on apple cider vinegar.